Coming back, I'm going to tell you that there is proof, especially for young people, what's going on to them.
Your voice, K-Talk, AM 1150, where listening is a virtue.
KTLK, AM 1150, it is your voice. We're talking right now about the harsh reality of a weak jobs market and the fact that some people are forced, and I say forced because, you know what? If you've got to feed your family, what the hell are you supposed to do? Live on pride? That's what I'm talking about. Let's get real. That's what we do here. I want to take this on head on today. I'm sick and tired of people who are unemployed being blamed as though they're lazy, and they have to get some food. They have to keep a roof over their heads. What exactly do we as a society expect these people to do? The economy has displaced them. The rich are getting richer. The working people are getting poorer. And let me share with you this proof that I said I would. Right now, 2.5 million new jobs in America, 2.7 million in America, temps, part-time, temps, part-time, temps, part-time. Is that the new real in America? I don't like it. How can you plan anything when you're a temp working part-time? And it's not just in the traditional fields like office workers, manufacturing, seasonal retail. Now it's even gone into engineering, information technology, for instance. I got so much more, but I want to bring on our political analyst, Peter Mathews, Professor Peter Mathews, Cypress College. Professor, welcome back to the program.
Great to be here again, Dave. Head on.
What is happening with this jobs market? Because the Cato report seems to imply that people are just wanting to be unemployed and receive the easy welfare, which, it's not the truth. People want to work, but we're not able to make a living in the jobs we can get. What do you see?
I see exactly the opposite of what Cato is saying. They're just trying to make excuses for the big monopoly-type businesses that have taken our jobs overseas. And we got to stop this, Dave. In fact, if you look at these monopolies like big banks, big oil companies, big airlines, big pharma, they control 4 to 7 companies control 80 to 90% of the market, and that's the problem. They can do whatever they want. They can lay people off, raise their prices, and there has to be regulation. So that's got to start with that. But I think Cato is absolutely wrong. People want work. We know the numbers, right? 3 times as many Americans have found only part-time work as opposed to full-time work this year, and the vast majority want full-time work.
All right.
So that's the real problem.
No, and I'm looking at an op-ed piece that was written to the Sacramento Bee by an economist. His name is Christopher Thornburg, and he said that to blame this on Obamacare, to simply say that companies are scaling back because they know that under Obamacare, if you're a company with 50 or more workers, you're obligated to provide health care or pay a penalty. I got to tell you, Peter, it's not just that. Let me tell you what I see, because I talk to a lot of small and emerging business owners every day. The business that they need simply is not there yet, and access to capital, something you and I have talked about, the lifeblood is still not being pumped back into the economy.
That's exactly right, because if you don't have capital, you cannot grow, you cannot hire more people. So that's what's happening exactly, is not the Obamacare. That's not the major factor. It's partisan battles in Congress about the policies needed, weak economic growth, sequestration, payroll tax hikes, all those things. By the way, community college instructors, community college part-time instructors are being cut back in their hours, partly because of the idea that they have to be covered by health care. But the main thing is a lack of capital, Dave. And so you need to have the government come in and put in money, close those unfair, unnecessary corporate tax loopholes, bring that money in to set up like a state bank, for example, to service the community banks, to lend money to small business and medium business, to hire our people. Can I talk about one thing that's really dear to my heart?
Please, go.
Franklin Roosevelt, FDR, back in the 30s and 40s. In 1944, FDR did the State of the Union address, and he came up with an economic Bill of Rights. He said the political rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, all those are very important. They are necessary, but they only lasted us for a while. They were necessary and they were adequate only for a while. But in the 1900s, when the Industrial Revolution started to peak, and there was a recession, a depression, and people were laid off, he says, We need an economic Bill of Rights. And he says the first one is the right to a useful and well-paying job. Another one down the line was very important. He has the number 4, the right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom from unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home and abroad. Can you imagine what FDR is thinking right now in his grave? The monopolies we have and the big businesses that are controlling and snuffing out our small businesses. Here's another one. The right to earn enough to provide adequate food, clothing, and recreation. The right of farmers to sell their products to make a living. The right of every family to a decent home. The right to medical care and enjoy good health. The right to security from old age, sickness, and accident. And last but not least, the right to a good education. Those were FDR's Economic Bill of Rights 50 years ago, David. We still haven't accomplished all of them. We're kind of sliding back a little bit.
Professor Peter Mathews, Cypress College, is on the line with us. Let me share with you also, Professor, a new stat that I want to get your reaction to. During the Great Recession, we know that many full-time jobs went away. We know that we lost millions. How many millions did we lose? Was it 8.5 million or something like that?
Yeah, at least that much, yes.
All right. But now, let me share the latest. They took a survey, and this is a snapshot of what is going on today. This is from CNN Money. 30.1% of part-time workers, let's just round it down to 30%. 30% of part-time workers would rather work a full schedule.
Yes, I saw that figure. Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely right. And that's that's almost a third of the workers are part-time.
Now, here's the point. Now, 2 decades before the recession, it used to hover at about 21% that they by choice were working part-time. I think a lot of people are being forced to work part-time because the full-time work simply is not there.
That's right. The new jobs are not being created by businesses here. The big business is taking the other jobs, the manufacturing ones, overseas, and they haven't replaced them with higher and new technology jobs here, Dave. Let me give you an example. This port down here in Long Beach and the Alameda Corridor area, which delivers the goods from and to the port, that is running on old technology, Dave. Railroads, rail cars that travel 10 miles, 30 miles an hour like in the old days, diesel engines. We need to create, there's a program, there's actually a company in Georgia called the American Maglev Company, and they're producing magnetic levitation trains. They got prototypes already produced that are running it, that can run, and they've been tested in Georgia. These trains have been in Germany for 20 or 30 years.
So let me get this. Wait, we
can create 10,000 jobs right here in this district, in this area.
So here we are seeing the port that brings in 40% of all the imports into America by sea, right there in your home area.
Yes.
And we're still using that kind of old technology?
Old technology, Dave. We're running right around diesel trucks. They're becoming hybrid diesel, but now you have a chance to have fully electric trucks. They are available. They're being used in other ports.
I would say
my friend went to Amsterdam and Rotterdam and saw those ports there in London that are totally modernized and are light years ahead of our port here. We got to really help our port get with the times.
Well, we certainly do. And Professor Mathews, I'm going to continue to call upon you for more of your insights, breaking it down to build it back up. Thank you very much, Professor.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Okay, Professor Peter Mathews from the Long Beach community and Cypress College. I have to share why this information to me called so much. Because I see my own kids struggling to figure out what their future is going to be about now. They're very resourceful. Brandon and Alex and Nick, they're very resourceful kids. And they're going to find a way through this haze and maze and fog. Maybe you will, maybe I will. But I think we are losing so much of our punch in America because we're being exhausted day in and day out, doing these fruitless searches for work, meaningful work, productive work, dignified work. And instead, we're knocking people who, for their sheer survival, I think a lot of them with a swallowing of their pride in their throat, take these vouchers just to be able to put food on the table, and we're castigating them. I would tell the Cato Institute, why don't you do a study on the thieves on Wall Street? And maybe juxtapose those Wall Street inhabitants to those on my Wall Street here, Skid Row, and I'll show you the contrast in America. That's really what we're dealing with.